Board of Directors, Marina Coast Water District, and the Board of Directors for Marina Coast Water District Groundwater Sustainability Agency to order November 17th of 2025. And we are starting clock on the computer says 6:14. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We have a call to order and we're going to have a roll call. Director Imamura?
President.
Director Moore?
Here.
Director Smith? Here. Vice President Schreiner? Here. President Morton? I'm here also. So it's now time for the pledge. Graham, you just came back to the United States after a foreign trip.
Yeah.
Can you please lead us in your allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we are going to open a public hearing. We will conduct a public hearing to consider an ordinance number 65. It's coming back to us. This would be the second time it's in front of us. We're going to start with the public hearing is now open, and our staff, Derek Cray, is going to give us the presentation.
Yep. Good evening, board, members of the audience. Actually, we have probably the most audience members in the since I've been here. So welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Derek Cray, your O&M manager. So yeah, the following item before you to conduct a public hearing. This is the second reading for the amendment and some additions to Title V Sewer Service System regarding fats, oil, and grease from food establishments within the district's service area. So we've talked about this pretty extensively over the last couple of months. This is really the third meeting on it, so I will not give you another 3-hour presentation, I had promised. But I do want to point out that we got a lot of great feedback from the board. In fact, every member of the board gave good comments. And so we've taken those comments, we have incorporated all of them into the ordinance before you tonight. So we have a really strong, robust ordinance that's down before you tonight. So again, the reason for updating this ordinance is to make our compliance and enforcement program much more robust, therefore reducing sewer spills. Ultimately, that's the end goal, right? And then preventing unwarranted grease within our sewer system. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions if there are any more regarding this ordinance update.
Director Imamura, do you have questions?
No, I think it was excellent. I think your, discussion of was complete, and really appreciate the work that you put into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Moore?
No questions.
Dr. Smith?
Just to reiterate what Director Moore said, that thank you for adding all of our concerns to the resolution and doing an excellent job
Thank you. Appreciate it.
listening to. Thank you.
And I appreciate the feedback. I really do. It really helped get a strong, robust ordinance.
Vice President Schreiner, any clarifying questions?
No,
Okay. And I don't have any clarifying questions. We will now go to public comment on the proposed ordinance. I am looking at attendees. I did open hearing. There's a chit chat over here.
I'm just.
The public hearing is open.
Good, thank you.
We've done our presentation. Public, I'm giving you, the reason I'm talking to our general manager is to give everybody in the public an opportunity to raise their hand. I'm looking at attendees. You see a hand raised?
Online?
I don't see any hands. I thought you said it was.
No, I mean the Zoom hand, like some people might be doing this.
Oh, a Zoom hand. Okay, so I think I don't see any hands going up on those attending via Zoom. Anybody in the room wish to comment? Okay, so we've allowed for comment from the public. So I'm going to, at this point, close the public hearing. And is there any further discussion about this ordinance? Any director amendments? Okay, so I would ask for a motion, first of all, if somebody wants to motion to waive the reading of the entire ordinance, we would entertain that motion.
Be happy to make a motion to waive the reading of the proposed ordinance number 65 and ordinance amending Title 5 Sewer Service System, Chapter 5.20, Sections 5.20.050, 5.20.060, and adding sections 5.20045, 5.20062, 5.20065 to the district code.
In accordance with our updated standards and requirements for reductions of fat, oil, and grease in our public sewer system. So we have a first and a second. Okay,
It's
no
fast.
comments, roll call vote.
Director Mamora,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. President Morton.
Yes, so we just have passed a motion to waive the public reading of the ordinance. I will move that we actually adopt the ordinance number 65.
Second.
First and second, any comments? Anybody in the public wishing to be heard? Nope. Okay, roll call vote.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Mamora,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. President Morton.
Yes, so the motion passes unanimously and we have adopted the ordinance number 65 with the modifications that have been presented by Derek Craig. Thank you very much for your work on this. Good job. Okay, so oral communications, anybody wishing to address the board on matters not on our agenda, this would be the time that you have this opportunity. If anybody in attendance on Zoom wishes to address the board, if you would raise your Zoom hand, we will call on you. I don't see any hands being raised. Anybody in the room wish to address the board on matters not on the agenda? And nobody. So we will close the oral communications. We move on to our consent calendar, which we have a long list. Received the check register is item A, draft, approve the draft minutes of the regular joint board and GSA meeting from October 20th. Item B. Item C is to receive the third quarter investment report for calendar year 2025. D is receive a status report update on current capital improvement projects. E is to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget to fund capital improvement program project MW-2518, which is the water distribution pipeline upsizing project. F is adopt resolution number 25-55 to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget and award a construction contract to Granite Rock Company for general construction services for the construction of California Avenue Water Main Project. G, adopt resolution number 25-56 to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget to fully fund the solar energy and battery storage project. H is to adopt a resolution to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget to fund water improvements coinciding with the city of Marina's MGen Parkway widening project. I is to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget to fully fund the Giggling sanitary sewer lift station replacement project design. J is to amend the fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement program budget and award a construction contract to Golden State Construction and Utility, Inc. for general construction services for the construction of the Giggling Road water pipeline replacement project. And last is item K, which is to accept the the infrastructure improvements installed under a water, sewer, and recycled water infrastructure agreement between Marina Coast Water District and Light Fighter Village General Partnership LLC for the Light Fighter Village development in Marina, California. So we have a lot of items. Any of the board members wish to have an item pulled? Director Smith,
Yes, I'd like to pull item B, please.
B as in boy?
Yep.
Okay, so we have pulled item B. Any other directors?
Just a note, I won't be voting on item B since I wasn't here.
B as in boy?
Yeah.
So since it's pulled, if we take a motion on that separately.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any other directors? Okay, anybody in the public wishing to pull any item on our consent agenda? Again, if you wish to do so, if you would raise your Zoom hand. I don't see anybody in the public responding. Nobody in the room is responding. Would somebody like to make a motion as to all of our consent agenda items, accepting item B?
So moved.
Second,
So we have a first from Director Moore with a second by Vice President Shriner for approval of all items A through K in our consent calendar, accepting item 6B as in boy. Any discussion on the motion? Any of the public wishing to be heard on the motion? Again, you raise your Zoom hand. Nobody is raising their hands. Anybody in the room? Nobody's jumping up. Okay, we're ready to take a vote.
Dr. Smith,
This is everything except
So
C.
B, okay, yes.
Director Memora,
Thank you for checking.
Yes,
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Shriner. Yes. President Morton.
Yes, so we're now going to take up separately item 6B as in boy. Director Smith, where we start with you since you pulled this to start.
Yes, so I would like to bring up the fact that I actually led the Pledge of Allegiance that evening. And every time it seems like other board members might be 1 minute late, it's never noted in the minutes, but yet it says arrived at 6:02 for me, which is not true, because I was here at 5:58. So I want that changed. And in the future, if we're gonna start going by 1 minute when every board member gets here, I want it for every board member, not just me, because I notice it's just happening to me. So in the future, if you wouldn't mind, that would be really nice. Thank you. The rest of it looks fine.
So are you making a motion to approve it with the change? What was the change that you
The
want?
approve with the change that
The 602 be eliminated?
is exactly, yeah, that's,
Is that your motion?
yes, that's my motion.
Okay. A second?
second,
We have a first and a second. Okay, any comment on the motion? Any other directors? Anybody in the public
Well,
wish?
just a
Yes.
point of clarification, can I second it, though, even though I'm not gonna be voting on it? I don't think I can I?
If you were.
Because I wasn't at that meeting. Is that true?
That's right, correct. You
You
should.
can,
be
Yeah,
okay,
so-
I'll second. the
I have to,
Okay, okay, so we have a first and a second. So it's the minutes as written with the deletion of the line under paragraph 4, Director Smith arrived at 6:02 PM. So we have a motion. Anybody wishing to comment on the motion? Okay. I just want to make the comment, I don't think that anybody has intended to call out any board directors. I support your motion. I don't know how important it is that 2 minutes.
It's
If
not
you're
important
here-
to address it in minutes, especially when I watched other people come 5 minutes late. I've been here early. I actually brought cookies that evening because it was Brad's birthday, but Brad wasn't here. So I think that's a little excessive, but I actually do have it in other minutes too. Like there's been multiple times when I've sat here and watched other people come late, but it's never been, Director so-and-so arrived at 6:03.
I am supporting your motion
Okay.
because I don't think it's,
And
I'm trying to make sure that there is a level of respect and civility and that we all are treated equally.
Mhm.
So I support your motion. I was just making a comment, not challenging. you.
No, I didn't think you were.
Okay, Anybody else wish to comment on the motion? Go ahead, Director Moore.
So just a question, I just want to make sure. I think it is, if the director, for whatever reason, is half an hour late for the meeting, the public has a right to know that that director wasn't present for whatever business occurred in that period of time. Just want to make sure your motion wasn't intending to
No,
never.
of course not. A half an
Okay.
hour if you're missing some, I actually led the pledge of allegiance, so it's not like I
Got
wasn't
it,
here.
got it.
I actually was here for the meeting was called to order.
Got it.
So I don't, yeah, I mean, half an hour late and you're missing half the meeting, that's different, for sure.
I just want clarification, thank you very much.
Okay, nobody in the public, anybody in the room? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote.
Dr. Memora,
Stay.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. President Morton.
Yes. That passes unanimously by those of us that vote, with Director Imamura abstaining because he was not present for the meeting. Okay, we are now prepared to move to our action items. One is to accept the annual comprehensive financial report and the independent auditor's report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025, which in our board package, this is on page 86.
Good evening, members of the board, district staff, and the public. I'm Darren Fisher, Controller for the Drinking Coast Water District. We are pleased to present the district's audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. These statements have been audited by Siobhan to ensure their fair presentation in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States. On March 18th, 2020. 2 years. This is our second annual audit with Siobhan and Associates. We are proud to report that the audit revealed no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Siobhan and Associates issued a clean opinion on the presentation of the district's financial statements, reflecting the district's commitment to maintaining robust financial controls and transparency. I've had the pleasure, a bit of a short pleasure thus far, but the pleasure of working with our highly capable finance team and all the other district departments this year in preparing audit schedules and support and the financial statements. I believe that these audited financial statements are a testament to the professionalism and dedication of all district staff. Finally, I'm pleased to introduce Sheldon Siobhan, the managing partner of Siobhan and Associates, to give a presentation on the district fiscal year 25 annual comprehensive financial report.
Thank you, Garen. And thank you to all the people that you have acknowledged on the staff for this excellence. So, Mr. Siobhan? Sheldon Siobhan, I don't know if I'm the one.
Here you go.
There you go.
There
There you go.
Move them over.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
You're now with us.
All right. Perfect. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, but I think I can deal with it. So thank you, Garen. That was an excellent introduction. And I appreciate the fact that I'm allowed to come to this meeting remotely. I was planning on being there, but yesterday evening found a leak in my roof, actually in my office. So I had to deal with that today. I had a roofer here basically fixing that leak all day today. I'm proud to say the leak is fixed, thankfully. Now, with that being said, June 30, 2025 audit, and as Garen mentioned, he stole my thunder a little bit. We don't want to give away the results in the beginning. We got to give away the results at the end. Otherwise, we can't keep the audience captioned. He gave away the results. It's a clean opinion. It's an unmodified report, which is perfect. That's what you're looking for. But let me give you a little background on what we're doing. We're performing the audit under a couple different auditing standards. It's generally accepted auditing standards in the United States of America, and of course, the generally accepted governmental auditing standards. Under those standards, our main objective is to issue an opinion on the financial statements for the district. And in doing so, what we're doing is letting the readers know whether or not the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. So it's important to note the term materiality in terms of an audit. because it identifies, one of the things that auditors have to deal with, which is how do we define something as material when you have so many people that might be relying on these financial statements? So those standards that I previously mentioned, specifically generally accepted auditing standards in the United States of America, gives us guidelines to follow in terms of how to define materiality. First and foremost, we're given numerical guidelines. So, for example, the larger of total assets and total revenues, we might take 5% of that, right? So we're looking at total assets versus total revenues. 5% of that might be materiality. That's not exact, but that's just an idea. A lot of audit firms use that as their starting point. We also have to consider what might be significant to somebody, even if you throw out the numerical values, throw out the quantitative values, what the qualitative aspects of materiality might be to somebody that's relying on the financial statements. And that's where it becomes more difficult. But it's important to discuss that fact and present that to a board so you understand where we're coming from an audit firm. And when we're designing the audit plan and our risk assessment, materiality comes into play in terms of not just the dollar amounts, but also the qualitative aspects of the financial statements and the note disclosures. In addition to the materiality, we're also looking at risk analysis, and to perform a risk analysis under these standards, we have to document internal controls. We're not necessarily required to test internal controls. However, we are required to perform walkthroughs, observe internal controls, reperform internal controls, and make sure we have a thorough understanding of how those control processes work over significant transaction classes. So there's the key term, significant transaction classes, right? So in our risk analysis, we have to identify which transaction classes are going to be significant that could potentially lead to a material misstatement in the financial statements. And so that's a part of the process. Go through the risk analysis, identify materiality, and then prepare our audit plan. Performing that audit plan is really the meat and potatoes, for lack of a better term, of the audit, because we're looking at those financial statements. We're looking at the numbers within those financial statements. And as we've said already, that based on all those procedures we perform, looking at cash investments, capital assets, long-term debt, net position, looking at the consolidated financial statements that are in the supplementary information, and even looking at some of the unaudited areas, for example, the management's discussion analysis and the statistical sections, unaudited, but it includes audited information. So after encompassing all of that, we've issued a clean opinion on the financial statements. So another thing to keep in mind that we're required to do in an audit is we have to take a look at the district's going concern, right? So what does that really mean to an audit firm? Well, when we're evaluating the possible risk that the district may have a lack of a going concern, meaning you might close your doors, we have to look at it from the date we issue the report, right? So the date you issue the report and 12 months out. And so I'm happy to say that with a very healthy net position and cash balance at June 30, 2025, so your cash balance was just over $27 million, and that's off the top of my head, by the way. And net position was $234 million. Now, keep in mind that net positions, all your assets, are long-term capital assets, and it's backing off your long-term liabilities. So that number is large because you've got a lot of infrastructure. But that cash number alone tells you that you don't have to worry about the going concern. Right? But it's something that we have to talk about and something we have to present and something that's included in our audit. Now, there aren't any material weaknesses and there aren't any significant deficiencies, which is terrific. Last year, we issued our management letter. We had one comment about assets, evaluation of assets, inventory of assets, looking at water rights, intangible assets, capital assets, just overall property and equipment. And the district made had taken huge steps in that area in fiscal year 25. And because of that, you can see progress towards improving the records related to those property, plant, and equipment, the infrastructure, water, assets, things that you might not think of as a long-term asset, but are intangible. And so you'll see in the audit this year, a prior period adjustment, which is now really a prior period restatement of $5.5 million. Now, that sounds like a large number. And 5.5 million is 5.5 million, but it's not cash. And technically it's not material if you look at it from a quantitative aspect. But it is part of what we were expecting to see our second year into the audit. Based on what we were seeing in the first year, we felt like there might be some areas for cleanup available, some improvements that were available to be had in relation to capital assets. And I think Garen and your finance team has made huge strides in improving on that area. So it's not a material weakness. It's not even a significant deficiency. It's just really an improvement based on recommendations and just continuing to improve and improve on operating efficiencies. All right. So with that being said, I don't know if you want me to look at any financial statement numbers, going over any statements, go over anything else at all. If you do, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. Or if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those questions.
Director Inmamura?
Just a general question about the report. In the first few pages, how much of this is just boilerplate language?
Say that again, please.
Boilerplate language, how much is the beginning of the report? Is that pretty much boilerplate language?
So the beginning of the report, if you look at the transmittal letter, there's a template that everybody follows, and then they build on that based on their unique circumstances. The transmittal letter is a chance for management to really kind of expand on their budgetary goals and where they're at in long-term financial planning, and major improvements in capital projects and initiatives that might have happened throughout the year. But it is a template that's followed, and it is something that's given to every local government in terms of if you're and mind you, this is not required under governmental accounting standards. This is required if you're going to go out for the GFOA certificate of award for financial reporting. So this is above and beyond. So it is a template, and it is unique in terms of the information you put in that template, but it's also an exceptional. It's a step above your normal reporting requirement.
Right. I don't have anything specific questions about the specific numbers, but just in general, how much of this was AI generated, your report?
None of it.
Okay.
That's coming though in the future. We're actually utilizing AI for our testing now, which is nice.
All right, well, I guess. Thank you.
I know it might replace me someday.
All right, thank you.
Director Moore, any questions? Director Smith? Vice President Schreiner?
No. Oh, I didn't think so. No.
Lots of notes, but no questions.
Yeah.
Anybody in the public want to comment? I don't see any hands going up. So, Mr. Shaban, we don't have any questions. That means that you were very thorough. More importantly, we thank our staff for their thoroughness because they fed you this information and it was done well and correct. So thank you for the confirmation of how well our staff has performed. And thank you for appearing tonight.
It was my pleasure. And again, thank you for letting me appear remotely. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. So we are accepting the annual comprehensive financial report and the independent auditor's report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2025. It has been accepted. We can now move on to item 7B, which is to consider an amendment to the fiscal year. I don't think we need a motion.
Yeah. That's that word indicates.
Do we need a motion to accept the auditor's report? I didn't think so. Oh, please. I'm sorry. I
There's
didn't-
questions. I didn't have a question, but I did have one comment.
Excuse me, can you have a seat? My mistake, I apologize. Director Moore, you wanted to comment
Yeah,
on the
just one
acceptance of the report, please.
Just like to point out on page 21, no typo, that in 2024, the audited financial reports reported $1.871 million worth of investment income. And for 2025, thanks to the investment income was over $3 million. Not quite double, but excellent work. And thank you very much. That's money from our investments that we can in the future put towards renewing capital infrastructure in the ground without having to take that money out of our ratepayers' wallets. So thank you very much.
Any other director comments? Okay, So we have accepted the financial report. We are now moving to item 7B. General Manager Imamura has brought this matter before us. General Manager is going to address it.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, staff, and the public. The item 7B before you is to adopt a budgetary amendment to add to the current board training line item of $10,000, adding an additional $2,000, or as the board chooses. Member Imamura requested this budget adjustment as we're moving into the second quarter. As we've mentioned previously, the budget is solid. We are on track to meet the needs of the district as we move forward. The discussion, after the first quarter, the sub account is approaching 100% expended. That's because Aqua and the CSDA both equate to roughly $2,000. There's some funding in the balance depending on the board member remaining. An example to this is that the next Aqua, the biennial meeting, is approximately $2,400 to do travel and to sign up and per diem and whatnot. This would mean that normally we would need about $4,800 a year just to accommodate those two events. And that this would mean increasing our annual budget to roughly $24,000. And to put that in context, we're essentially a $50 million going concern. So the financial burden to the district is not big. With that, I'll leave it to the board member as.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment because, and I mentioned this before when I brought this up, that it was woefully inadequate. And as you mentioned, even though adding an additional 2,000 to whatever, it still is inadequate to cover the upcoming Aqua conference in San Diego. So it's not even taking care of that. So I'm really disappointed that we didn't actually increase it even more. And we have actually 4 board members currently going to the Special District Leadership Academy. And the first day was today. And I think what was loud and clear to me from what I heard is that board members need to be educated, that we have a duty because we're elected by our constituents, and we have a duty to make sure that we're educated. Now, if there are some board members who've been around, and I won't maybe mention how long, maybe they feel that they don't need it. But I certainly do, and I can't speak for Director Smith, but she was just recently elected, and I think it's important for her to do that. And I'm not going to tell her what to do, but I certainly don't want to have the fact that we don't have adequate funding should she choose to want to do that. And I still feel it's important. And our general manager goes to every single one of these conferences. And I guess what I need to do, and I think I'm going to ask, I want to get the travel reimbursement request to find out exactly how much those cost. And if we're going to be deciding things like right now on millions and millions of dollars, and what the general manager said, this is negligible to the budget. This is ridiculous that we should even be talking about. So with that, I move approval.
So your motion is to move approval of an increase of $10,000.
Caveat that it's still woefully inadequate because there's also a spring Aqua. Is that correct?
Correct.
And where is that going to be located?
Spring office in Sacramento.
It's in Sacramento, so it's going to be probably cost approximately the same for travel reimbursement or the cost of the conference. It's going to be another $2,400, right? So there you go. It's not going to even cover the one in San Diego coming up next month. So if someone wants to make an amendment to that to increase that, but at the minimum, it should be at least this amount. And again, I still feel it's woefully inadequate, but I'm going to move approval.
Does anybody want to second the motion or?
I want a second, but I also want to comment since my name was brought up. May I do that?
Okay, so we have a first and a second, so now we can have discussion on the motion.
Okay.
Director Smith?
Yeah, so, when this was first brought up, I didn't quite have the knowledge of the expenses of when you want to go to a conference that could educate you further. I had no idea how much they were, for one. The one that's coming up in December, I would have wanted to go to it, but apparently there's not enough money to cover, there's just enough money to cover the conference costs. There's not enough money to cover, like, travel to be down there or a hotel. So I personally, I'm not gonna take food from my daughter to go to a conference. And I don't think, just like Director, I think we do owe it to the public to become more educated, especially when you're a new board member. And I would have loved to have gone. So my reasoning now, that I do think that this needs to be increased. And also, if senior board members here that have been through conference after conference after conference, and they don't want to go, but they're allocated that budget, why can't that roll over to the new person that does want to go? Why does it have to be just limited to the, oh, it's only per board member? Well, that board member may never want to go to any that year. So is it going to limit the person that's new to the board to not be able to go? So there's that argument. So that's why I would like to make a motion to second the motion that Bob made to address.
Can I follow up with another comment?
Yes.
And we found out with a report from Mary, I guess it was a couple months ago, where she did a recap of last year's budget. And we found out that the amount allocated for training, education and training for staff was only used 60%. So I am just really dumbfounded as to what the real root of this is. I don't understand why we would prevent any board member from wanting to educate themselves. So I'll leave it at that.
Director
Clarification.
Moore?
Yeah, clarification. So the staff report indicates that Director Imamura has requested this item for an additional $2,000 per board member.
Correct.
But that wasn't exactly what I heard in the motion that you made. So I'd like some clarification. Is this simply a increase, doubling this particular line item for this fiscal year? And it's a free for all amongst the directors as to who gets to use that money? Or is this a motion to simply add $2,000 to each director's, if you will, budget for these events during the fiscal year?
Director
Well, thanks for that clarification, but yes, I also want to piggyback on what Director Smith had indicated, that this should be put into a pool, because there are some members that don't go. They won't go. So it's just limited to $2,000, and if there's some amounts left that another board member isn't gonna use, then yes, it should be used for education, no matter who uses it.
So I will comment. So first of all, the point of this budget, and I know that we have spent time at this at the budget committee meetings, and there was a great deal of discussion. And when this 10,000 was put forward, this was based on the price for 5 board directors to be able to go to basically 2 conferences per year. The board, Director Smith is correct that the price is the price of admission. It is not the price of a hotel.
Well, because if it gets our press.
So, but so many of these presentations that these board members have attended are here locally and are offered in Monterey. So the fact that they are offered here at various times throughout the year in Monterey enables board members to go to attend the CSDA. And actually, I have attended an Aqua and a CSDA. Now I'm in the leadership at the CSDA, is on the budgeted allotment, but I am not having to pay for a hotel. and I'm not paying for an airline to go. My concern about, and there is truly the opportunity needs to be there to educate our board members. However, I'm also looking at what is the beneficial impacts of the seminars or these events that we're going to. I think the CSDA, the special districts, California special districts, this is now, I went to one a few months ago. That was their general meeting. And I did participate and go to seminars, and there were others of us there. And I think it was very, very informative. And I think that gave a great deal of knowledge to board members on what we do as board members. It's not related to how you run water. That staff does that. Now we are, at least 4 of us are participating in the Leadership Academy, which is a tremendous education as well. So I do want to be sure that we are funded enough sufficiently. And my understanding when we had our board meeting presentation, that we approved the budget, first of all, it was important, but we had an analysis done in committee and then put this line item in the budget that the $2,000 adequately covered those costs. The other thing that's an addition, and some of the things that we do need training on, all of our board directors do need training on. Council or special counsel or special instructions, that we are getting our ethics training. We are getting our Brown Act training, our sexual harassment training, our 218 process training, that all of that is given to board members here and in advance of us making policy decisions, approving actions of what we do. And I don't want that to be discounted or lost in how much this entity invest in board members and board member educations. The other thing about some of the other items where we can be educated, for example, Aqua, and I know that Director Imamura went to Aqua one time, and
Along with General Manager.
I would talk.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used names, I apologize.
Well, the point being, what you're saying right now, Gail, President Morton, is that some of the local ones are not the appropriate time of year for, not everybody can attend, correct? Like this week. I had other meetings I had to go to, I have other things I have to do. However, the December one, which may be in San Diego, is at a better time. So I don't think that saying, oh, we can only go to local, when actually there's topics that I would want to learn about that do pertain to a lot of the things that we talk about. In fact, Aqua was great because I went to a lot of the seminars that talked about legal. They talked about what the state is doing, which I'm very intrigued about. And so I can't always attend a local one because of the time of date that it is. However, when one comes up, like the December 2nd one, I could have gone, but come to find out, nope, sorry, not enough money. So that's my point, and I'm gonna continue to, just nail that point in. Person thinks somebody should learn. That doesn't sit well with me. And I think that if you want to learn something and it's available and it has to do with our water and our district and or anything that goes with that, I think that the opportunity should be there for a board member to be educated on it so that we're representing our entire district in a knowledgeable way and not just what one person thinks that we should learn. So that's mine.
You want to?
So, well, the only thing that I was going to indicate is that there are ways also that make the information available to us. And if in fact there is a conference, there are webinars that are available to us. We did pay $255 for the Aqua for the entirety of the presentations to be available to all of the board members to listen to, because as you correctly say, Director Smith, some of us do not have the ability, even if we have the funds, to take the time in our schedule to go through so.
Right.
So, but the counterbalance that I'm also looking at is that it's an investment that's year to year. So if you are sitting on this board for 4 years, it currently at $2,000, that's an $8,000 investment. That's being done into education, which is significant. And it's not necessary that we stay at this number. I'm understanding what you are saying, Director Imamura. But I'm just trying to also look at the total investment and what the commitment is, and making sure that we're also considering the other things that we do
Yeah. and-
for training, because
Okay.
training, I think, is very important.
It is, but to just also add in, which I think it's fine, paying for, seminar items that you can watch later. However, you're not meeting other people in other districts. And for me, that was a huge plus for our district, because I've got other districts wanting to really be involved in our Whisper program. People that didn't know about that, it's getting the word out about things that we might be doing. You don't get to meet people watching a Zoom video later on at home for that seminar. So there's a lot of more involved in learning than just watching the seminar. There's the other people that are there that you from. So
Yeah.
that's a huge thing for me. I mean, that personally, I feel just because, I mean, this isn't just a one and done for me, I want to continue this. And, I'm not trying to say I'm younger than everybody here, but, I'm just here, so I want to grow that and learn more about
Right.
that aspect. So,
Can I,
sorry.
Director Imamura.
yeah, and I just wanted to echo what Director Smith had indicated, and just today alone, this is just a small percentage of the people I met. District. Liliana Moreno, Oraloma Sanitary District. She's actually staff, but she's a finance manager. So I had a good discussion with her about finance. There's no substitute in meeting people rather than looking at a screen. And for you to dictate what we should do, we're elected, I'm elected, okay? So are you. But for you to have to dictate what you feel is appropriate for us, it's whatever I feel comfortable with. If I don't feel comfortable with it, and if you try and spoon feed or try and force someone to say, this is the only thing you're gonna look at. People don't like to be told what to do. They like to make choices. And this is what it's all about, okay? Mark Sullick, Paradise Irrigation District. These are just a small percentage of the people I talk to today alone, okay? There's no substitution looking on the website. So I don't know what your motive is, your focus is on the little small dollars and cents. You had the general manager indicate that this is negligible to millions and millions of dollars. This is ridiculous. So again, I'm just confused as to what your real motive is. I don't understand it. I really don't. Most people that I've talked to there today said they don't have a problem going to these things. In fact, they encourage people to go to these things. So I don't know. You might be an outlier. I have no idea.
Well, I haven't expressed an opinion. I just was reciting some facts. So I'm sorry if you took that as an opinion.
Well,
I'm reciting some facts.
That's what
I
came out.
did want to finish with this one comment about if it's in a pot, is that many times board directors haven't decided till the last minute if they want to attend a conference. And so if it's in a collective pot and somebody else gets there first, one board director may not get the opportunity. And I think just signing up even for this current go around of the CSDA leadership, some of us decided very early on, others of us decided later. And so if so I did want to, because I do have an opinion about it being in a collective pot. Director Moore.
Yes, thank you very much. So I don't think it is at all accurate to characterize the president's statements that she is somehow dictating this. simply because she's the president. This is a board decision. It requires 3 votes or more to approve, and that's the way our democratic process works. I do have a question for council. So I had a small amount of my $2,000 remaining after the conferences that I participated in or are currently participating in. I decided that I wanted to go to Aqua, so I'll be paying. I'll use up the rest of my $2,000 and then
Not if you vote for this motion.
can I finish?
You know, there's just-
Right. So my question is, if I were to vote for this motion, I would be putting in my own pocket, that otherwise I'm going to expend at my own pocket to pay for it. I've got a little concern about, does that create a personal financial conflict of interest that's going to get me taken out of the room in handcuffs?
We're not voting on an underlying contract or anything that's triggered. This is not the sort of financial interest that is governed by conflicts. So no, that's not an issue.
I'm still a little uncomfortable with it.
Well,
I mean, if that were the case, the vote could never be taken up because the director may at some point choose to utilize or not utilize their own money. So this is not the sort of aspect that comes under the conflict of interest or actually financial interest issue.
So I get when we established this amount, when we did the budget last spring. Yeah, we're just budgeting an amount per director, and yes, as you say, that would not be a particular conflict of interest, but this almost seems very, very direct. But anyway, I'll decide what I decide. Get to a vote. We'll get to a vote.
Director Smith.
sorry, one more thing. So I understand the pool thing. I get now that, you know, you mentioned it the way you did, President Martin. But like now what Director Moore said is that, you know, he had a little bit left over. Well, what if, you know, you weren't gonna use that and say, you know, Paula's presenting something that's at the end of the year, like the December 2nd one. Oh, okay, well, guess what, you know, Director Moore has some leftover, maybe we can, you know, he's not gonna use his for the year, I'm talking about for the fiscal year, right? So then that person, you know, isn't like, okay, well, I can't, because I literally, I would want to have gone, but I couldn't because there wasn't the funding. And then this one that you guys are at, I couldn't because of the timing and the date. So I get it's local, but, you know, I get some of you guys are retired, but not everybody's retired. And I don't think even future board members that come on, they might not be retired either. They might be working, and, you know, and that's what I ran on. Is, you know, a single mom, I work, and, you know, I think that people appreciate that. And I think that I hope that people would want to be electing board members that want to learn, you know, that want to, I mean, I'm always here, you know, asking run questions or even getting kids educated in from our high schools and things like that. So yeah, so I see where the whole thing can come into play in a positive way as well. But I also see your point that it could be, you know, I'm guessing like if it's the end of the year or something, I don't know, but anyway.
The end of the year is not till June 30th.
I know, but I'm stating that if it was that, do you know what I'm saying? Like if it was at the end of the year and, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how it could work, I guess, in my brain. Like there's, you know, the mechanics of it, I don't feel like it would be that difficult, you know. I mean, we all have different schedules, right? So, I mean, not all of us are, I don't think any of us have gone to, at least since I've been here, not all of us have gone to the exact same conferences, right? So, I mean, if we know the dates ahead of time, couldn't we, you know, like Cause I have to plan my schedule. I'm not just one of those people that just go, oh yeah, I don't have, anything going on today, and call you up and say, sign me up today, like I have to have my schedule laid out. So go ahead. Sorry, Jenna.
Vice President Shiner.
Yeah, I'm thinking that a lot of times in our staff report, we get a little more of the history, maybe going back a little bit more, but I'm forgetful. Remind me if I have forgotten this part. But I believe during the budget cycle, the staff presented us a list of conferences for the fiscal year, things that we were provided that we could consider for our schedule. Now, it was a lot. I mean, for me, I've only been going to one conference every other year generally. But I think we had a list of three conferences and one leadership academy. That's how I recall. And we were asked which ones we were interested in and which ones we could fit into our budget. And we were asked to respond by a certain deadline. And I believe there was even a reminder because I was a little late. But it was all part of the budget consideration by the board with by the board and even a prior discussion, I recall, in the budget and engineering meeting, where first we were presented with the idea of, I think it was even $4,000 per board member, and it seemed like kind of a shock because it's I think, what is the ratio? We've gone in 5 or 6 years, fourfold is the current presentation idea. And I had actually taken the time to speak with Charlotte of the Special Districts Association today to say, hey, by the way, Charlotte, my memory is not that great, but I feel like the first time I came to a conference, it was only around $600, and today it's $800. Is that your recollection? And she said, oh, I've only been with CSD 3 years, but we haven't raised it that much in the time that I've been here. It's been like maybe 750 to 800. So it's not like a surprise to some of us that it's expensive to go to conferences. Specific conferences that apply to the district, but I also took a little time to Google things like climate action plan training, some things that weren't on my list. I looked at and got prices on. And I feel like any one of us can also do that. I don't feel like anybody should feel that either the staff didn't provide enough options or that any of the board are dictating because, there's a lot of ways that we can go about this. But it's not during Jen's leaders. I'm going to be talking in this person. But I think about the cost to the district for what kinds of things I want to do. And I want to do the district's process, which is to put it into budget consideration time. And we just had our mid-year financial report. Everything is looking rosy. I get that. And I understand in some of our consent agenda items, we did have to move things around because we didn't know ahead of time the city was going to do their pavement plan or whatever the reasons are. But to just be like mid-year, all of a sudden, I really want to do more training. I want more money from the district to do my training. To me, feels a little bit self-focused rather than the district, what's best for the district, what's been going on around the district, what's the district's process. So I just wanted to kind of weigh in on that. It's like get back up into the 30,000 foot view, as they say. If you were to pilot a plane and be like, okay, yes, we're going to land in 0 hours, but I'm not going to put my landing gear down right now. I'm going to wait until I'm a little closer, and then I'm going to negotiate the process through my flight engineer. You know what I mean? I have a brother who's a pilot, so I don't know if that analogy is working for everybody, but I hear about airplanes. To say I hear the concerns and I feel like the timing would be better in the budget process than right now. Like at the schedule, asking the staff to provide the dates if possible, perhaps in March. Looking at our personal calendars, honestly, I don't even have a 2026 calendar yet. And then picking out the ones that I want to attend and thinking about the expense to the district, and then moving forward through the budget process. If we want to have 10,000, we want to have 20,000, but putting it into the budget process rather than, coming back like maybe in 2 months and saying, oh, by the way, 10,000 isn't gonna work. I need 15,000. Oh, that didn't work either. I need to have 20,000. You know what I mean? It's a lot of time taken up and revisiting a budget item without any like new factors. It's just
Director Smith.
desire factor.
I get your
Director
point.
Smith.
Yeah, I get your point, Director Vice President Shiner, but it doesn't go till June. So there's conferences that come up in the spring. So, so there's no money right now for me to have even gone to the December 2nd one. How am I? Your analysis doesn't make any sense to me on not why you can't decide on it now. And I did not see all of the conferences that are all of a sudden coming up now on anything that was given to me earlier in the year. And also, you just admitted you've only gone to one, like once a year, maybe, if that. And so after attending one, I realized, wow, there is a lot to learn here, and there is a lot of seminars that are very great. And I am one of those people that learns when I'm at someplace, like physically talking to somebody. And again, meeting the people that I met there, that actually I got turned you guys on to some equipment vendors that were at one of them. And so that's my point about the fiscal year versus now.
It's
I went to one that we had and I wasn't able to go to the next one because there wouldn't have been enough money.
Oh, I thought you was, oh, sorry.
No, I was able to go to one.
And then you found out about some equipment at that one.
Correct.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, equipment vendors were there, correct.
Director Imamura.
Yeah, and I just make this one last comment, then I want to call for the question, so we can go. Director Schreiner, I couldn't understand what you were saying. I really couldn't. And I just can't believe we're talking about this for so long. We just approved the October 2025 summary of the check register. You know how much the total disbursements were? $3.5 million. And you're talking about $10,000? What are you gotta be kidding me. I can't believe that I'm here. I can't believe that I'm sitting on this board. We're talking all this time for $10,000 for training and education that we need. This is incredible. What is the matter with people? Oh my gosh. I'd like to take a vote now.
I think
There was a
Director Moore,
motion and a second.
you had your hand up. Okay,
Sorry.
okay. So there's a motion to call for the question.
Do we vote on it first or?
I think so.
only second?
Yeah. Okay. So those in favor of calling for the question? Do you need a roll call?
I don't think there was a second for that motion.
To approve the 10,000.
Council, do we need a second on motion for a call for the question, or a call for the question and it just gets called?
What's the question?
I don't know.
We want to vote on the motion.
To vote on the motion.
No, there needs to be a second,
Okay,
and I believe that
I
Director
seconded the
Smith
motion
seconded the
to
motion.
approve. The
Yeah,
I just asked that we vote on the motion.
are you asking to vote on?
the call for the question. And my question is, does the call for a question need a second?
It would need a second, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. I do want to make another comment. First of all, I'm hearing all sides of this and I'm vacillating on what is appropriate. And I do understand that these conference prices have risen and gone up, and that we might not have enough in our budget.
You know how much meat costs nowadays? Have you gone to the grocery
May-
store?
May I finish my comment? I do not equate board training and how much gets allocated for board training with what gets allocated for staff. And for staff education, which is a function of the work that they need to do. There's licensing, there's different things that they are, some of our staff, including our general manager, are actually committee members driving legislation, driving leadership in the community and in the state that helps this water board function and fulfill what are its objectives. So I don't personally, I'm gonna now say this, I don't personally equate board training, staff education. So I would like us to, as boards of directors here, is making the decision about just what should the budget be with regard to us and not in relation to what gets budgeted for staff. I do understand that there is, when this came before us in the budget, and I do want to echo what Vice President Schreiner said, that all of us were polled about what seminars that we wanted to go to for the year. All of that information was brought in preparing a proposed budget, and what got allocated in this budget covered the cost of what all five of us
That's not true.
indicated
That
that
is
we
not true.
wanted
That is
to
not
go to.
That's not true.
Three
It's
of
not
them.
true.
I've checked three of them and I only got to go to
Yeah,
one because
that's
of
not true.
time, this kind of different, the price for them. It's
Okay,
okay.
I'm gonna say my recollection. At the Budget and Engineering Committee was that there was some as a committee to make sure that we were allocating sufficient funds, to make sure everybody could go to what they wanted to go to. That did come, that budget did come in front of the full board for a discussion, and this issue was discussed at the board meeting. And at that point in time, there was no motion.
Definitely not true.
Would you please?
Well, why do you sit there when it's not true?
Interrupt me.
There was no motion to increase it. There was discussion.
Silence is acceptance, and that's not true. And in fact, I didn't vote for the budget, if you recall.
Please.
Would you look up the report? I did not approve the
Director
budget.
Nakamura, can you let us just
Out of
finish? and
order.
go? This is the point that I'm trying, is that it was discussed at the full board meeting, our budget. And this item was called and discussed at the full board meeting. When I'm trying to indicate, this is not a personal matter, this is a board decision matter. And we should all be addressing each other as making the decision of what's in the best interest of the board and not as a personal criticism of each other. Director Smith.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And in my defense, on the list, I was thrown that list one day, one evening, coming into a board meeting, and I think it was like my third board meeting. I didn't have any time to even research and look up what each of those conferences, were about, or, before I had to just check off. So I just checked off all the ones that I thought my dates in my calendar, like really quickly. Then I didn't really get any time to research that. And then all of a sudden you guys made the decision and I did not know that. So I would have brought it up before earlier in the year, but now that I didn't get to go to the December 2nd conference because of the money thing, I now, so it's, for me, in my defense, I didn't have all the information at the time when we were thrown, check off this thing, and I was just like, okay, I didn't even have time to look up like what each conference was gonna include or that kind of thing. So that's the only reason why, for me, like, I know you're saying like we talked about this before, but. I mean, really, it wasn't like, maybe you guys talked about it, but I didn't really get to be included on that discussion, so. Anyway. That's my.
Vice President Schreiner.
I forgot to mention, I spoke with Charlotte regarding scholarships. And we could have applied for a scholarship for the Leadership Academy for the CSDA. So that's something I think we could all do a better job of researching our scholarships for various conferences. Because they do have other funding methods. And I also want to say, I'm sorry to any board member that doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. Because your words, I'm understanding fine. I did ask a question to clarify which conference about the large machinery. I appreciate that the president of the board allowed that clarification question directly to a director. But I am understanding the positions of all the board members. And my sense is we have different perspectives, and that's what makes the board so strong, is to have this diverse thought process. So I just wanted to add that piece, the scholarship and accepting that we are diverse in this time for the budget. Not the budget, I think of it as a budget consideration, but for the training item that's before us.
Okay, so we have a motion to increase.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Can I
oh, you have,
comment?
yes, sure, I thought.
I did apply for that scholarship that you mentioned. In anticipation that the board was gonna deny any increase. Special districts notified me they didn't have any more funds. They were sorry and they encouraged me to apply again. And I think it's rather disgusting that I have to go out to them when someone else probably a person who needed it a lot more, but yet this board has the funds to do it. You heard from the general manager, there's no impact, but you choose to keep ignoring that out of your own personal issues. And don't tell me it's not personal. It is personal. Okay? So that's my opinion. And you can say anything you want, but this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're talking about this and wasting staff's time sitting here talking about this. Anyway, I'm done. This is absurd.
Okay, so we have a motion to increase. We currently have 10,000 allocated, 2,000 per board member, which was done in the budget. And the motion is, I'm reciting the motion. The motion is to increase that budget for the fiscal year 25-26 by an additional 10,000, which my understanding of the motion is that 10,000 would be allocated 2,000 additional funds for availability to each director.
Correct.
In total, then each director for this fiscal year attend conferences of their choice. That's the motion. We've had a discussion. I now want to go to public comment. If anybody in the public wishes to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand. I don't see any hands going up. Anybody in the room? Any last minute comments from directors? Okay, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Abstain.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. No.
As I agree that this should be in the budget process, that we should follow the procedures when we set amounts. Okay. We are now moving on to the next item in our agenda, which is a report from our general manager.
Good evening, members. Few items for you this evening. Director Mamora, Director Smith, we're setting up the M1 Pure Water Monterey tour. So as that moves along, we're just trying to figure out the schedule for that. Perfect. Thank you. Any of the other board members that'd like to attend, please let us know. But this is specifically for the two of you so that you guys. We are in the early throes, Director Smith, of the art policy. So I have, sorry, it kind of fell off the radar a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not like it's, you know.
So Paul has pulled together a couple of policies. We're in the process of ginning that up so that it meets the district's needs, and then we'll bring it to the committees.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of a conversation with our board president this afternoon about strategic planning and making sure that the board is in the circle on an annual basis to review that plan. I had recommended the April meeting because that's my GM's eval meeting. I think I'd like to move it to March so that it's brought up, it's trained, and then we can go into the April meeting and go into a closed session for my evaluation, which is reflected through the strategic plan. With regards to, so we are in the process, they're aware of the special board meeting. So we're in the process of trying to set up a special board meeting in the coming days, probably on Monday. As you know, we have an $800,000 windfall from the GSA. In GSA to us. Charlie and his team are putting together an action item to expand our monitoring well drilling, which would help us with the timing issue that we're experiencing at the C2 tank.
Is that the Watkins Gate one or
Yeah, just the one outdoors.
no? Okay, Watkins Gate.
So we would move because they have prescribed burns happening,
Right.
move mobilizing right now is a bit difficult, so we would move to our debooster station, drill those wells, and then jump out to the outer wells and utilize the 800,000. Really, it's a timing issue, and I apologize for asking for an additional meeting, but there's $800,000 on the line, and we'd like to make sure that we get it done. It has to be spent by March.
You have to have this special board meeting during Thanksgiving week, though?
Yeah, well, we're
Oh, okay.
Paul is polling the group.
Okay.
I only need 3 members. There's
Okay.
only one item on the ticket at the moment, and I'm trying to stay there. But I wanted to give you, what is it? Fair something is forewarned, or fair of something is finished. We're in the process of closing up our urban water management plan proposals as we prepare for delivery of that document in the summer of next year. We should have that before you shortly. And then the last is the update on our member who is recuperating with his spouse. They're both quite jolly, but still under medical care. Give up.
Talking about Patrick Breen,
Yeah,
please say his name.
okay, this is a public meeting and yes, sir. Anyway, he's doing well. That is my report.
Thank you. We will next move to committee and board liaison reports, starting with the executive committee. Director Vice President Schreiner, would you like to report on the executive?
It's very brief, board agenda review of tonight's meeting.
That was it, and we have future items on that agenda that we're addressing. True. M1 Water Board Member Liaison, Director Tom Moore.
Thank you, President Morton. So Monday, November 24th, which is following Monday coming up. We met on the 27th of October. Much of the meeting happened in closed session. There was approval of some additional money proceeding on the outfall improvements associated with CalAM's desal project. CalAM is funding all of the dollars that were expended on that additional work. In closed session, just topic wise, we got our annual cybersecurity brief. So I assure you that Monterey One Water staff is very concerned about the cyber threats that are out there, as is our staff here at Rainy Coast Water District. And they're keeping the board appraised of the latest updates in what we've been doing to protect our ratepayers, to protect our SCADA system, to protect our processes, et cetera. And then, of course, It was time for a general manager evaluation, which is always lots of fun in closed session. And that was the meeting. There is no December meeting of the Monterey Water Board of Directors. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member request for future agenda items. Director Smith?
No, I'm sorry, I was just taking a deep breath.
Okay. Vice President Schreiber?
Yeah, one of the things that has been on my mind, but I forget sometimes, is those jurisdictional boundaries between Monterey Peninsula Water Management District and Marina Coast. So no need to have it on the very next meeting, but I would like to ask staff to eventually to clarify if there is still overlap, where is that? Kind of clear up what exists now, and then perhaps if something needs, or something looks like it could be changed, bring it back for the board to consider, maybe through the executive committee or however you think it works best. But I do know at one of our meetings, I got to sit next to General Manager Stolt, who said, yeah, he'd be interested in working that too. Maybe we could even help share the cost if there is still an overlap. So thank you. Next one.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Director Imamura?
Thank you, President Warren. I'd like to get this item put on the agenda for next month. I was made aware of an email, and I'd like this open to discussion. The email is from Director Schreiner. It's dated December 20th, 2024 at 6:18 p.m. 6:18 a.m. in the morning. Subject was little more background.
So this is an item that you would like to have considered
Yes,
for the
it was sent to a newly elected board member. And that board member, their first meeting was December 16th, if I'm correct, 2024, we met. So it was sent to this newly elected board member on December 20th, 2024. That's the date of the email. It states, during the 2022 campaign, a concerned voter shared this Mercury News article with me. The Mercury News article is attached to this.
Okay.
It was a
so this is-
16-year-old, wait a minute, it's a 16-year-old article, salacious article by a hack reporter trying to dig up dirt on then, at the time, I was a trustee on the Federated Employees Retirement System. Bottom line was, city manager found no wrongdoing. So apparently, Director Schreiner said, I did not use it in the campaign process,
Director Moore.
but I shared it with MCWD staff. So I guess the motive was to smear me in a campaign. Now, listen, I want to put this on the agenda.
Okay, we've got.
My advice
What
to
would
staff
the agenda
I
item be?
with the agenda, that's
to
all.
find out who you shared this with, what MCWD staff did you share it with? I want to find out who it was.
Okay, so
who they
we've
talked
heard
to,
your request.
And my advice was at the time that if Brad
Director
Imamura won a seat on the MCWD board, his
Director-
travel expenses documentation would need to be carefully reviewed. This was even
Director
before the
Imamura,
election.
This is not the
You
time.
see what's going on here? I'm saying you were at this conference, you know, the trust, there's no trust anymore on this board, okay?
So
And now I
Director-
have to suspect staff, and you're trying to suppress me
I'm
from
not trying
talking.
to suppress you.
Okay,
May I-
you
may I-
let me talk, okay?
No, no,
and
no.
then
What
it
I'm
ends
trying
with-
to
and then
indicate
it
is
says,
that this
"Happy
is not
holidays."
permitted.
And you're talking over me. Happy holidays and see you in the new year, Jan. Okay, so I want a full discussion. What was the motive of this?
Okay, so your request for the board to be put on the board agenda is a discussion regarding an email. So that is something that will be looked at if it's appropriate for,
Yeah, I can't see that would be appropriate for a board action item, but it's something we can look at.
It's open for, we don't have to put an action item on it. There's nothing, there's no action to
Okay,
it, but I
but-
just
but-
want to,
but
I want to find out who it
Then what
was.
business, then what business of the Marina Coast Water District would it?
I want to put it out right here in this public. I don't want it to be
I mean,
suppressed.
frankly. you-
Everyone's
you put
hearing
out.
about it.
You put
I
it
wanna
out as a
know
public meeting.
Who she shared this with. but I shared it with MCWD staff. Who was the staff and why were they compelled to let me know that this was shared with them?
Okay,
Because I was told at today's meeting,
Director.
no, I'm answering his
Director
question.
Moore.
Would you please stop interrupting me?
Hear you.
Would you stop interrupting me, please?
Out in my ear, if you would please,
So,
okay, so we're currently on this.
wait a
item,
minute, I
which
didn't
is-
finish answering Mr. Hobbs' question, okay? So what I heard in today's, and I'm glad that we had this training, so they said that when you have things like this going on, when you have board members going to staff, telling them things that were salacious and basically lies, telling them if this person gets elected, we need to scrutinize his travel expenses and documentation. So how am I supposed to operate on this board knowing that she put that, and I want to know what other board members were aware of this? What other board, was there a possible violation of the Brown Act? That's what I want to
So
know.
are you asking the board to investigate? Because the board. would have
I
to
don't
make
know
a
if they can
decision to
investigate themselves.
Well, so then the board, the action.
What
the
I need
action
to
item
do, what I need
To
to
have the
do,
board bring in
Okay.
another party to investigate. the
Okay.
matter is what
you're supposed to be working for the board, right?
That's
And
correct.
so I'm making a request as a board member. I need to find out who's doing this, how they're undermining the integrity of this board by passing on the salacious stuff to staff even before I was even elected. Get it? Thank you.
Any other board members wish to suggest items for future agenda items?
I'm sorry, I just have to say something.
Director Smith,
Okay. So I was thinking about going back to the pooling thing, since we didn't approve the increase, right? Because we still have December, all the way till June. Is there a way, like, there are spring things that come up, so is there a way to like put on the agenda for next month, a pooling? What's the
may I help you?
Labor conference money?
May I help you?
Yes,
You
please,
indicated
could
I'm
you-
trying to
okay.
understand.
I'm trying
it.
to find a way.
You're
to where we're
asking
not.
if we can put on the agenda whether a board member can relinquish funds they will not expend to another board member.
Yes. Yes.
That's
And
your
that way-
request for an agenda.
Yes, until the new budget.
Yeah.
Because that way, if something comes up that I can go to,
And I'm
I'm
not
like,
gonna use my money, can
yeah,
I relinquish?
yeah, or like what
Okay.
Tom was saying, then.
So
that
it's a
way-
change in the policy of what was adopted with our budget.
Right. Because we didn't do the other one, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have an agenda item? Okay. We are now, you've got those recorded. We are now moving on to director comments. Director Imamura,
I have no further comments.
Director Moore.
Yes, just want to say thank you very much, staff, for getting through an audit. I know an audit involves a lot of work on the part of staff, obviously on the part of the auditor too. So to get a completely clean audit, thank you very much for that work, and just general thanks to the rest of the staff for continuing great performance, and we hope we put out our best wishes for our employee who's his family.
Director Smith.
Okay, so thank you, staff, for being here, and, we're all 5 different personalities, so I'm sure the dynamics is for people listening in, and we thank you for the audit too, that's amazing. I've been through audits before, and this is well put together. The other thing I would like to say is we did, the last meeting, I did say I want to keep Patrick Breen and his wife in our prayers. So I will say his name, because I'm going to say that again, that I'm still keeping them in my prayers. And it's okay to say his name because people know he works for us, so. That's what I've got, because we did say his name last time, that's one of the reasons why I said that, but I'm keeping them in prayer. So,
Thank you for your comments.
thank you.
Vice President Schreiner.
I want to echo the appreciation of our staff and how well that act for and the audit all together. It's a lot of work. I appreciate also the work on the ordinance. You know, I think we surprised you with some of our feedback the first round or two, but I think it is a more robust ordinance, and I hope that it lasts for some time and keeps our pipes clear. And I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season as we roll on in. It gets so hectic for all of us. I think whatever your persuasion, this closeout of a year and all the things that happen with family and friends, I just hope everyone is safe and it has a really good time. Thank you.
My comments, thank you. Staff, great job. Derek, yes, you're FOG. We are all now so educated on FOG and interceptors. And I just that effort, that is such an example of the focus of making sure our ordinances meet state law, meet the standard that protects our infrastructure, but also has the enforcement capabilities. And I think so often what I have found in local government is that there's no teeth in ordinances, and it makes it very difficult to enforce, and it places such a financial burden on the organization and us, the special district. So I appreciate the focus that was put on that, general manager, Derek, and all those legal team and other people that worked on that. Finance, fantastic job. We got an A+. I know that increases our ability to borrow money. It gives us more favorable terms in the marketplace. It gives us a great deal of respect. All of you, thank you very, very much for that effort. Engineering, keep up the good work. Look at all the money that got directed for you today in going forward. Lastly, I do want to comment. I have my own opinions, but as a director, I am making decisions based on what I believe is in the best interest for the district and the leadership that is policies and directions that reflect our constituents and reflect us as an organization, not Gail Morton personally. I don't take anybody's comments here when they disagree with me as a personal affront. I see it as different opinions, and it is the discussion that comes out with what will be the better plan. And I'm hoping that all of us can treat each other with that understanding. And I want to be supportive, and I am always here to listen and listen to other viewpoints because the better outcome is what is our goal. So thank you. And everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And with that, we're adjourned.